Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, and I believe that the right book at the right time can change lives, and that all readers should read children's literature, especially adults. So that's what we do here on the KidLit Love podcast. We celebrate all things children's literature: picture books, early readers, middle grade, and young adult novels for readers of all ages. In each episode, we'll talk with children's literature authors and discuss their books, their hopes, their dreams for readers, their writing process, and much, much more. Whether you're an adult reading to their inner child or connecting the young readers in your life with fantastic books, you've come to the right place. So grab a notebook to build your TBR, and let's get to today's episode of KidLit Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the KidLit Love podcast. I'm Stephanie Affinito, your KidLit loving host, inviting you back to another bookish conversation with a children's literature author. Today, I'm talking with Rebecca Morrison. Rebecca is here to celebrate her debut middle grade novel titled The Blue Dress. In this story, an Iranian American girl navigates complicated relationships with her mother, her best friends, and her body image. This novel is both unflinching and uplifting, and I absolutely cannot wait to talk with her about it. So we are going to get right to the episode. Rebecca, welcome to KidLit Love. I am so glad you're here today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm thrilled. Yeah, this is my first book. It's based on my life, so a lot of the scenes in the book are true. Really, I turned my memoir that I was working on into this novel and fictionalized parts of it, and parts of it I took from my real life. Um, I came to America when I was young, from Iran, and I had a very complicated, sometimes strained relationship with my mother. At the time, she really believed um, that to be thin was very important, and so she did a lot of stuff to try to make me thin, and that created some pain. And also, I developed an eating disorder for many years, and I always wanted to tell this story. And I'm glad that I was able to tell the story in this way, in The Blue Dress that just came out, my novel. That young, so the young girls can feel seen, and also for moms can feel seen, because the truth is, this is a book for mothers and daughters, parents and children. I did for World Reading Day. I spoke to some different schools, middle schools, and at the end of the Q&A, one of the boys stood up and said, "I relate to this myself, but in terms of my father and I." And I realized this is a book for all kids and their parents.
Mhm.
Um, and both of those are complex characters, because as parents, we're doing the best we can. We're trying, and sometimes we make mistakes. And as kids, we don't see why our parents are doing certain things, and we have secrets, and we don't want to tell them how much it's hurting us. But that's what this book is about,
Mhm.
trying to get to a place where we understand each other.
Yeah. Oh, there are so many different directions I could take this in, and so many things I'm hoping to pack in to say in this episode. But I do want to ask before we dive more into the book, did you always kind of have this idea that perhaps you would write for this age group, or was it something that just came to be out of what you were saying, a memoir writing experience? I would love for you to touch upon that.
Yeah, I never expected to write for teens or preteens. I've only started writing 5, 6 years ago. I'm a lawyer. I practiced law for many years, and I decided during the pandemic to give writing a real shot, a dream that I'd had my whole life, but I never thought was possible. And it goes to show it's never too late to go after something you really want. And you just have to work really hard. And also, I jumped in and I met a lot of people. And I was 50 pages into my memoir when I met a publisher who read some short pieces that I wrote for national publications, the Washington Post, and I had a tiny love story in the New York Times, both about this exact issue and this exact story. And she said to me, this would be a great story to tell for young girls that are struggling with the same thing you are. And I realized that most of what I had written was the starting point of a 13-year-old girl
Yeah.
and her relationship with her mom. So I just immediately switched and I turned the whole thing into this story. Yasmin is my middle name, and I use that as the character's name. And it's in writing it was such a beautiful, joyous experience. I loved it. And I didn't change anything about the way I was writing. I didn't write this for any specific age group. I wrote it as my story.
Yeah.
And because to me, I remember what it's like when I was 13. I feel sometimes 13 right now. And I think it's a really, being a young girl, being in 12, 13, 10, 15, I remember those ages so well. And I think it's a beautiful, complicated, interesting time where as young women, we're trying to figure out who we are.
Hmm.
We don't have all the answers, but we're starting to understand the world in a grown-up way. And we're tackling things that are as serious as anything else that any adult is tackling.
Yeah.
And so I loved writing this, loved.
Was it emotional or like cathartic or just
Yeah,
how was
it
that
was.
writing from those memories?
Yeah, it was. Certain parts of it, I would, after writing it or reading it over, I would, get emotional and tear up.
Hmm.
And when that would happen, I knew that it was real. I knew that um, it might have an impact. Uh, and that's what that's what I hope the most is that the writing feels authentic
Hmm.
because it is, it's like I could sit next to any person, any woman, any age, and tell this story. And I think it could relate at any age because this is as much a story of the mother as the daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. That is something I really want listeners to sink in right now. This is a book for middle grade readers. This is a book for adult readers. This is for anyone who has ever felt uncomfortable in their body. It's for anyone who's ever felt uncomfortable in school, in our culture, no matter how old. And it highlights so beautifully the complex web of relationships around that very thing, right? Feeling discomfort in one's body is not just for that person. It impacts everyone in the family, and everyone in the
Yeah,
family has an impact on how that person feels, and what we might say isn't always matching what we do. And as mothers, right, we try our very best from what we were brought up in and what we hoped for. And then all of those things get complicated as well. It is a book full of such emotion that depending on your own personal experience, right, it could be a story that you are in, or it could be a story that you are in that reminds you, that reminds you of home. And whew, Rebecca, it's just gorgeous. It's beautiful in all the most wonderful ways. And while some of the things may be, hard, right, of not feeling comfortable in your body, of some things that I won't mention because of spoilers that happened to Yasmin at school and just wrap her identity in, there is such hope throughout every single page as well. You may have a range of emotions while reading, but you will not end feeling anything less than we're okay. We're going to
yeah,
be okay.
yeah. Because that's really kind of my story too. I'm an immigrant that came and, experienced some of those things that I write about, but I love this life in this, and I love this country. I'm an immigrant that is so proud to be here and also proud of my heritage,
Mhm.
proud of my the homeland that I was born in. And so that's an experience, both Yasmin in the book and her best friend Carmen, who is from Mexico. And so the two of them, I loved having that friendship. And Carmen is based on my real life, one of my best friends who I met when I was 14. Um, and I'm still very close friends with. And she, um, and I really, the thing that, one of the things that we understand about each other is that combination of Americanness and also loving kind of our traditions and our cultures from kind of our homeland or our heritage from our parents' culture and our culture. It's a complicated thing, being an immigrant, but that's what I love about, honestly, that's what I love about America. I always have, even when I was little. And I speak about that and I write about that in numerous publications. I write essays, I write articles, and they're all on my website, RebeccaKMorrison.com. And I write this beautiful kind of thing about how everyone that comes to this country and becomes American is part of this land. That's the best. So
Mhm.
to me, it's like it's a beautiful miracle. It's an experiment that works, having this incredible place where we can all be together and be Americans alike, no matter where we came from.
Mhm. That's beautiful. Now, this book is dedicated to your mom.
It is, yes.
How I'm curious to know, because this is your story, right? And I imagine your mom's going to read your story. Does how does all this work in the family, in the web of
Great
things that
question.
perhaps they remember?
That's a great question. And the truth is this, I'm very close to my mother. We, and I've written about kind of the grown-up parts of this in the Washington Post and on today.com. Um, we spent years finding understanding and healing and love and she has told me that she always loved me unconditionally, even though I didn't maybe feel that when
Mhm.
I was young. But she's a wonderful, incredible woman who was able to say, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I understand how that hurt you. And I love you the way you are. And I'm so proud of you the way you are. And I needed to hear that. And then for me, becoming a mother helped me understand her,
Yeah.
that it's she was trying to do the best she could. She was very young when she had me, well, 22, that's pretty young. And so as a mother, I've made mistakes. I, you know, I don't want to admit that I made mistakes because it's hard to admit as a mother that you've done anything wrong, but of course I have. And I see, how difficult it is to always, do the right thing when you think you are, and then later on you're like, oh, that wasn't the best. That
Yeah.
wasn't the best. So
Yeah.
we came to a great place. My mother and I talk every day on FaceTime. We see each other, and she has not read the book, and she will not read the book, because she says, I already know your story because we talk about it every day. And she said she'll wait until the movie comes out.
Yeah.
That's what she says. She's very funny.
Well, this really should be like this book just needs to be everywhere and everything and in all the places. And
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
so glad you mentioned, the healing part of the relationship with your
Yeah.
mom because there is so much growth in this book in a variety of ways. There is this growth arc with Yasmin who starts to again, I don't want to give spoilers, but
Yeah.
who goes through a
Yeah.
journey of her own. There is growth between the relationship between her and Carmen. There is growth certainly in the relationship and the openness between her and her mother. The growth in the mom, like you said, to be able to
Yeah.
admit, and just showing that while things may have been hard, there's always room to come back closer together. Always. And that can
Always.
be really hard, especially for a lot of adults too. That's just really hard. And this just shows that just love and openness and acknowledgement and perhaps an apology can go a long way to helping people feel good on the inside, no matter what happened.
Yeah.
As a mom to now adult kids, as a mom to a daughter who recovered from an eating disorder, as a mom who had to examine her own stuff and her relationship in regards to that, I so appreciated that part because that is hard. That is hard, but you showed it's possible. And that's everything.
Yeah, I love that, and then I took a lifetime and I condensed it into seventh grade,
Yeah.
you know, of healing and start and finish. But the truth is, I hope that this is something that helps moms and daughters and fathers and sons and all, kids and parents talk to each other about these difficult things. Because even like in the book, the father has to make some decisions and have some accountability for his actions too, and his relationship with his wife and his children, and it's just it's life. It's the complications of life, and I wish that I had had kind of a story that I could have related to when I was that age in a book. But at the time, this was, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 40 years ago, it was just my life was so, complex and up and down. And really not that many books talked about this issue.
No, no. But now we have yours.
Thank
We
you.
have yours. And we haven't, I can't really say much about this part, but I just want to say the title,
Yeah.
The Blue Dress,
Yes.
has such beautiful significance woven in and out of the pages that I wish I could say more about, but it really is central to the beauty of the book. So I just want to tell listeners like and really to you, the way that blue dress just symbolizes and then changes in what it symbolizes and what it represents and the beauty of your description of it and the love that went into it. Oh, I cried. I cried. I got my Kleenex out. I cried.
Oh
Just
my gosh. I love
just
it.
beautiful and
Too.
the most perfect title, the most perfect thread
Thank
throughout.
you. And you know what? It's true. I mean, the my mom sewed me a blue dress for prom when I was a little bit older than 13. And I never went to the prom. But I had this blue dress that I loved. And in art class, and I'm telling you the story that's it's not in the book, but in art class, I think my freshman year of high school, with pastels, I did a drawing of this dress that I still have those. Remember those slides that they used to have? Those.
Yes.
Um, and we still talk about that dress, if you can believe it. And it was very similar to what I describe in the book. But it does really kind of symbolize the journey, this emotional journey between my mother and I in the book. And I never thought about a title other than that. It was the title from the first day till now, which I love. I love that the publisher
It's
never
perfect.
even
Yeah.
said anything. Yeah.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Thank
Ah,
you.
so your book, at least at the time of this episode being released, will have just been published. just
Yes.
a couple
So
of days
excited.
ago.
Yeah.
As you think of this book going out into the world and getting into everyone's hands, what is your hope for the book or your hope for readers who get the chance to experience it like I did?
I I'm so excited. It's hard to explain that this story is out in the world. What I hope is that girls love it. I
Mhm.
hope that moms see themselves and girls see themselves. And if it helps open a dialogue between kids and not just their parents, counselors, teachers, and I talk about this in the book. Those are all real people to me. When I was in the fifth grade, I had a counselor that did exactly what that happens in the book. Exactly. Exactly. And that my counselor was a man, and I wanted it to be a man in the book. And my teacher was also my it was my PE teacher and my math teacher, but in the book as an art teacher, was this great guy. And I had these wonderful women who were my mentors and helped me along the way. So it's like my wish, my dream is for teachers, for librarians, for counselors, for moms to have this book as a way to open dialogue with kids that are struggling with a lot of this stuff, not just body issues, but being an immigrant. Those are the two things that I experienced and I know about and I wrote about. And for kids, I would love for this to be a book that they see themselves in and they enjoy and they laugh and they cry. I love to cry when I read books and it makes me cry. It makes me feel like I'm so connected.
Yeah.
I loved um, when I, when I read a book that I just don't want it to end. Do you know what I mean? I just want to savor each page, and it feels like the author is just talking straight to me. And if my book can be like that for anyone, it's like my biggest dream come true.
Yeah. Well, it already did. So there you go. And now you can just keep going with lots of
Thank
other
you. Thank you, Stephanie.
readers. Now, I hope my hopes for the book are the same as yours, and I will be singing the praises of this book and pushing it everywhere I possibly can. But my hope is that you're not done in middle grade, that this wasn't just a fluke from your memoir. And so I'm just going to put that out there. I hope you stick with us in
Thank you.
children's literature.
I love the experience. I have more stories to tell, I hope. Yeah.
Good. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Where is the best place for listeners to find you online so that they can keep up with you and get to know you more and perhaps, dive into your adult writing world as
Yes.
well?
Yeah. My On social media, the best place is Instagram. It's so I am Rebecca Morrison writer at Rebecca Morrison writer, and the best place on the internet is my website, which is RebeccaKMorrison.com. And I am going to be doing lots of talks, and I'm going to be at schools. And that's the other thing. I am so excited to be speaking at middle schools and high schools. Um, and I'm going to be at bookstores, hopefully around the country in different cities. So keep a lookout on my website and on Instagram. I'm going to be posting different dates for stuff, and I'd love to meet everyone. Anyone that picks up this book and reads it or wants to read it, I'd love to meet you.
Yeah. Oh, well, I will put links to all of those places in
Thank
the show notes to make it easy for listeners to find you. I'm
thank
certainly going
you.
to put a link to the blue dress in the
Oh,
notes as well. And I just want to thank you for writing it. Thank you for the truly profound emotional impact it had on me. Readers are going to love it. Thank you.
I so appreciate that. And this is the beginning of my kind of talking to people about it. So what a wonderful beginning to this, Stephanie. I'm so grateful. Thank you for talking to me about it.
Oh, you're so welcome. And listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of KidLit Love, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the KidLit Love podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. You'll also find KidLit Love on Substack. That's where you'll find posts for each episode, monthly KidLit roundups, and an invitation to join my summer book club and go deeper into the world of children's literature. And if you loved this podcast and want more, you might like to listen to my other podcast called Get Literate. It's a podcast that explores all things books and reading, notebooks and writing to build a life you love. One more thing. If you loved what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish community of KidLit Love. Thanks for listening.